You don't know anything about that kind of stuff, do you, sir?
Oh, no. No, I broke mine trying to do a back history. I thought I could do it, but I couldn't. She says,
Should you try it again now?
no.
You wouldn't try it again? Well, we don't know about that yet. It may just be a sprain, but we may need to get it x-rayed. But for now, she's walking on crutches. All right. I'm not exactly sure what time it is, but I think it's time for me to start. It is not time for lunch. I hear some more people on the steps. Okay. Good morning. So I have talked to you before, and people will just keep following, I'm sure. Welcome. What is a substantive? Substantive.
It's a common noun.
Anything that's used as a noun is also called a substantive. Welcome. All right, so that's where I'm going to start. Anything, maybe anything. Most things can be used as a noun. I don't want to go to anything yet until I think that through. All right, but I'm going to just give you several examples of things that are substantive, can be used as a noun, but you wouldn't normally think of as a noun. And then I'm going to get a little bit more specific in gerunds. Y'all remember gerund? Gerund. No, it's not a name. It's not a person I'm not talking about. Gerund. G-E-R-U-N-D. And I spelled it for you. I should get extra points for that one. Spelling it for you. I'm glad to be back here. I am glad to be back. Abby's not in the hospital anymore. I don't have COVID. This is where we should be. I can look you in the eyeballs, and then I don't get carried away talking about fish. I'm one of the top 6 experts in the state. I'm just kidding. I don't know that much about fish. I'm just kidding. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a good show. When I'm standing in front of you, I can look at your faces and gauge whether or not you're tracking with me. I can see when you're kind of glazing over and I need to move to something else. I can see when I'm kind of like right now when I'm spending too long talking about something and I just need to move on. I can't do that when I'm just looking at myself in the screen, and I don't like that. I don't like teaching that way. I'd rather be here with you, so I'm glad to be back. Substantive. Substantive. Anything that is used as a noun is called a substantive. Okay, so one of those, let's say, I'm going to just start with infinitive. Y'all know what an infinitive is? What's an infinitive? Some of y'all are taking Spanish and you have to know the infinitive. What's an infinitive? To plus the verb. To plus the verb. And so in the Spanish it ends in an AR and ER and IR. So let's say to bend, to break, to kick, to fall, to shoot, to whatever it is, to plus the verb, that's the infinitive, okay? So if I'm going to use this as a noun, this is the subject of my sentence, or maybe I can use it as a direct object here. If I say, the only way we can win, the only way we can advance is to beat them. Okay, there's my infinitive. The only way we can advance is to beat them. You might not say it that way, but it works this way grammatically. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see this? Okay. And this is where you get to predicate nominative, which we'll talk about more later. The way is to beat. To beat. Somebody say it. Is the way. Yes. So it's the same, you're renaming it. Good morning, come on in. You're just renaming it, it's predicate nominative, but this is used as a noun. Okay, it's used, it's not replacing, but it's renaming the way. All right, it's predicate nominative, it's used as a noun. All right, hopefully this black will show up on my video. The other colors do not. I really hate this board. All right. In fact, I don't know that I'm going to write any more on the board right now. I'm just going to tell you this. A quote. A quote can be used as a noun. So if I said, she said, comma, I don't like that kind. Which is possible for somebody to say, I don't like that kind. Right? The whole thing is in quotation marks. Bless you. Sounded like a sneeze to me. Bless you anyway, Leela. Just let me bless you. Okay. All right. The whole quote. She said, the quote, right? She said, I don't like that. It's all in quotation marks. Something is being said. Something is being said. Something is being verbed. So what is that? The whole phrase is a direct object. The whole phrase is a direct object. Something is being said. It is this thing right here in the quotation marks. Does that make sense? Okay. So the whole thing is being used as a noun with the job of a direct object. The whole quote is a substantive. Make sense? Whole quote is a direct object. Let's see. Let me give you a clause. I don't want to go through all these. I'll probably send these to you through email. Just give you some examples. The whole clause. Wait a minute. What's a clause? What's a clause? We've talked about this before. Phrase and clause. What's the difference? A clause has a subject and a verb, where a phrase does not have a subject and a verb. It may have one or the other, but not both. Okay. So a clause has a subject and a verb. Can it stand by itself? It depends. Good. Depends. I like that word. It depends, because sometimes a clause is dependent. Sometimes a clause is dependent. Sometimes called subordinate. Sometimes called subordinate clause. And then sometimes a clause is independent. So when I say the word subordinate, what does that make you think of? Anything? Under. When I say sub, under, right? Or less than. Subordinate needs some help. It's lesser importance in the sentence because it can't stand alone. It's not the main clause because it needs some help. Okay? Where was I going with that? Clause. So if I say where the cat was hiding, can that stand by itself? No, that's right. No, it cannot. Why can it not stand by itself? It doesn't make sense by itself. Yeah, it doesn't make sense by itself. And so now I'm going to add to it. I'm going to say, she did not know where the cat was hiding. She did not know where the cat was hiding. Okay, so at that point, she did not know. She did not know. That could stand by itself. If you left it at that, you don't have to exactly know what she didn't know. But if I say she did not know, that can stand by itself. And then if I add where the cat was hiding, that's another clause that cannot stand alone, but they can go together, right? So she did not know what? Something is being known or not. So the whole clause is a noun. Go get it? You'll see what I'm saying? Okay. See, this is where the eye contact comes in, because I can see the head nods. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, gerund. I think this is the last one of these that I'm going to do. Gerund. What's a gerund? An ing verb that is used as a noun. That's a gerund. Okay? So, I really don't want to write this on the board because it's terrible. So, it doesn't show up in the video very well, and then I can't erase it. So, this is no good. All right, so first I'm going to say, he is flying. He is flying. Is that a gerund? No. Is flying. How is that used? It's a verb. It's a progressive verb. It's a present progressive. It's going on right now. It's something that is ongoing. He's doing it right now. He is flying. Okay, that's a verb. What if I say flying trampolines are bad news? In that instance, the word flying, how is it used in the sentence? Adjective. Because what kind of trampoline? Flying. Flying trampolines. No good, right? So there you got an adjective. Then if I say flying is a bird's special gift. Special gifting to the birds. Flying is, maybe I should go this way for y'all. Flying is a bird's gifting. Okay? Where's the verb in that sentence? Is. Well, what is it that is? Flying. Flying is the subject of the sentence. It's a verb. It's an ing verb, but it's being used as the subject of the sentence. Flying is a bird's gift. Okay? Y'all see what I'm saying there? One more. Same thing. Same idea. He was always running. He was always running. Running is the ing verb, but how is it being used? That verb is being used as a verb. Was running, past progressive. It happened in the past, but it's an ongoing thing in the past. Okay, y'all understand past progressive? We'll talk about it later. Yes, I'm seeing some head nods. Okay, that's past progressive. It's used as a verb. Running shoes were important to him. How is running used right there? Adjective, because it's telling you what kind of shoes. They're running shoes, right? Running was a big part of the movie Forrest Gump. Running was a big part of the movie, right? Everybody seen Forrest Gump? Yeah. I don't know that I would wholeheartedly recommend it, but no. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that's been influential on the culture at large. A lot of references to it. Okay. Running was a big part of the movie. So how is it being used there? It's a noun because you look for the verb. The verb is was. Well, what was? Running was. Okay. Any questions about that? No. Gerund, you got it. Prepositions. What are prepositions? Anybody? Just give me some examples. How about that? In, with, down, during, after. Okay. A preposition is going to show the relationship between a noun and the rest of the sentence, and it's usually talking about direction or time. Direction or time or place. That's what it's linking the noun to the rest of the sentence, telling when or where or how or why. Maybe not how, sometimes not. Okay, so prepositional phrases. Sometimes these things will trip us up. If you start your sentence with a prepositional phrase, put a comma after it. Put a comma after it. If your prepositional phrase shows up at the end, and sometimes in the middle, you don't have to use a comma, depending, we'll talk about that later. But if you start your sentence with a prepositional phrase, please put a comma after it. And a lot of times Word or Google Docs or something is going to give you a little blue underline. If you don't do something like that, a little squiggly blue line, just see what it's talking about. They're not always right. Word and Google are not always right, but look and see what they're talking about. If it's red, you misspelled it. If it's red, you misspelled it, so check it. Oh, okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to just do this real quick. Quick. Okay. The kitten under the bed is calling to its mother. Where's the prepositional phrase there? Under the bed. Okay. Who's under the bed? The kitten is under the bed, right? Calling to its mother. Right? So, since it's modifying kitten, it's an adjective phrase. It's the kitten that's under the bed. Which kitten? The one under the bed. Right? It's a kitten under the bed. The kitten is calling to its mother under the bed. Now what's under the bed? The mother is under the bed. The kitten's mother is under the bed. So it matters where you put the prepositional phrase. You're going to be modifying something different when you move the prepositional phrase around. Okay. And it's still an adjective right there. It's telling you where it's modifying the mother. Okay, the mother is the one in the bed. The kitten is calling under the bed to the mother. It's not an adjective phrase anymore. Where's the kitten calling? Under the bed. So it's an adverb because it's telling you where she's calling. It's the verb. Adverb phrase. Any questions about that? It matters where you put the prepositional phrase. You're going to be modifying something different. All right. I don't want to do that anymore. Anybody upset about that? No. Legal, what do you want to talk about? Something different? You don't know. Okay. Sonnets. We have made it to sonnets. Anybody love sonnets?
I like sonnets.
I do too. Sonnet and free verse is what we're going to be doing. You don't like free verse? Why do you hate free verse, Mary Taylor?
It takes me longer to write a free verse poem than it does a line.
Okay.
My brain is just trying to compel to get things right. It's a problem. Like, I just stop myself from writing.
There's a strong compulsion to run. All right.
The sonnet and the villanelle are what took me a long time to discuss.
We're not going to do a villanelle this year, but I really like the villanelle.
They're
I like the villanelle. You don't like it, Daniel?
They're
No?
time consuming. I have to
Super
pull out like
time
a
consuming.
list of a rhyming
Out of
word.
all the poems, I spent way too much time
The villanelle with the longest.
Oh.
I like the villanelle. I think that you guys do really, really well when you have something that's super structured. It forces you to take all of the creativity that you have and you have to channel it a certain way. And you guys produce some really good things when the rules are tight.
They are.
They are with the villanelle and they are with the sonnet. So typically, through the years, through the centuries, a sonnet most often has been used to express love. Most of the time. I'm not going to require that of you. You don't have to write a love sonnet, okay? You don't have to write a love sonnet. And I'm just looking at the same thing that y'all are looking at right now, but a sonnet will fall into, there are two main types. The Petrarchan was Italian. It came from Italy. And it has 14 lines. You have an 8-line octave is what it's called, octave. And then you have a sestet, which is 6 lines. So you have 8 and 6. And what happens is you go through the 8 lines, and then there's a turn. So you have a certain feeling, certain way that you're speaking, but then there's a turn and there's a change, and then you finish it with 6 lines. And it's usually the eight lines is A B usually, and then in the last 6 lines you have C D E, or they'll go C D E. Okay, and I'll probably send some of this to you through email so you can have a little bit more. The Shakespearean sonnet, this is the structure that I'm going to ask you for here. You're going to have 4 quatrains. 3 quatrains. Basically 4, 4, 4. All right, 3 quatrains, and then you have a couplet at the end. So you're going to have 14 lines with either style. But I would prefer for you to use the Shakespearean, just so we can see your structure. Okay. Not most of the time, a classic sonnet is written in iambic pentameter. The same thing that we've talked about is 10 syllables. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. I gave you here the sonnet, the Call of Wisdom. All right, and I just took Proverbs 1, 20 through 33, and I just put it to the sonnet. So not all of my lines are going to follow iambic pentameter, but many of them do. Whenever I could, I did, and the fact that I couldn't do it on all of them just means that I'm a lesser poet. So, anyway, somebody find me a line that is iambic pentameter. The first one. Yep. She lifts her voice and calls for all to hear. feel it. Feel it. Find another one. Yeah. You love to mock and joke and roll your eyes. There's just a definite pattern. Okay, find me one that's not iambic pentameter. Yes. Yes. If I had to read that as iambic pentameter, let me see if I can do it. You guys are idiots. You guys are idiots. It's very hard to do it. It's kind of goofy. It sounds goofy. The first line of the second quatrain there. If you will only receive, I will teach. That would not sound good as iambic if I tried to read it as an iambic line. If you will only receive, I will teach. It doesn't fit. It doesn't sound right because it's not the way we speak. When I use the word receive, only receive, it doesn't work in the flow of iambic pentameter. So anyway, I have some lines in here that don't fit with iambic pentameter, and you have the freedom to do that. If you can make it iambic pentameter, do it. If you can. But there might be times it's difficult to do that. Did I leave anything out of sonnets? 14 lines. 10 syllables a line. If you can make it iambic pentameter, fine, but if you can't, I still want 10 syllables per line. I want you to follow that part. I'm going to probably send you some examples of sonnets just because you can kind of choose the rhyme scheme that you want. Are you okay? Okay. So you can go A, B, A, B. You can go A, B, B, A. You do need to have A's and B's in there. All right. You need to have those rhymes. If you stray from that too much, and it's a little odd. Okay. Free verse. I gave you the top one. There is one that I wrote a few years back. No rhymes. No rhymes in free verse. I see you smiling at me. Y'all, sometimes Abby knows too much. Sometimes she knows too much. She knows what some of these are about. The middle one. Kaylin is not in my class this year, so I used one of Kaylin's. And last year, I just had you guys collect some phrases that you hear a lot and use those phrases, those sayings in a free verse poem. So if you're reading her free verse poem, you probably can find parts of the phrases that she used and put together. And the last one is one that Georgie Summerlin wrote probably 3 or 4 years ago. So be aware that when you're not in my class anymore, I may use some of your stuff teaching. So don't cry, Daniel. It's okay. It's all right. I'm proud of all of you. You're doing great. Sonnets. Any questions about sonnets? I will probably send you some examples. Check your email. Check your email because I'm going to send you stuff. It's a once a week class for an hour. I don't have time to give you a whole lot right here. But, okay, next. Let's see, is this what I want to do next? I think this is what I want to do next. I want to talk about, I think I do need the board this time. I want to talk about American realism and naturalism. So we started with colonial writing, okay? And then we went to the Age of Enlightenment, all right? What did we talk about last week? Romanticism. I don't think I gave you the dates. Oh, this is so bad. The dates are usually something like 1820 to 1870, something like that. And remember that these are not necessarily just really strict. You're talking about the way people think. You're talking about the way people think and the way they act. So you don't just, it's not a light switch that you turn off from one year to the next. It's a gradual shift. I mean, think about the last 3 years. It's 2023 now. Think about from 2020 to now. How much change have you seen? A lot. And some of it felt very fast, but a lot of it has been gradual. Okay. And so the same kinds of change that you see, the same kinds of turmoil that you see, other generations had that too. We just are not living in it, so we don't know it. But all of the things that could go into your writing, the experiences, just 2020. Just 2020 and the shutdowns that everybody had and the upside downness of the world, that is enough to really change some of the things that y'all would write about. That is enough. It changed the whole world, right? Okay, so we just got done with Romanticism. In Romanticism, how did people feel about man? What was their view of man's basic nature? Man's basically good, right? Left to himself, he's basically good. Yes, basically good. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to get to is realism. All right, and so the basic, I'm gonna extend the dates just a little bit, just to give you, just to bring it home. Okay, so I'm gonna say 1861 to 1914. Those years mean anything to y'all?
World War I.
World War I is right here. What about 1861?
Civil War.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of shifts in writing and culture happen around wartime. Okay, so when you're thinking about Romanticism up here and the romantic ideals, romantic thoughts, they thought that man was pretty, just basically good, human nature basically good. When you get to wartime, you don't think that anymore. These people lived through atrocities. These people lived through terrible, terrible things, and it didn't matter what side they were on. They were going to look at human nature now and go, we're not as good as I thought. People are not as good as I thought they were going to be. Okay? So many people died. So many people died, and it was just terrible. Okay, so also during this time, you had Charles Darwin. Whether you like him or not, he had been writing for a little while, but in that late 1850s and then the early 1860s, he started to be published and more widely read. Okay, so you have people shifting from the idea that man is pretty decent, pretty good on his own, and then you get to war times where they're saying that man is not behaving nicely. He is a bad, bad guy. He's a bad. So, and then you get to Charles Darwin, and what does he think about man? I know Charles Darwin. Theory of evolution. Okay. What did he say about man? Where did man come from? He's basically an animal, right? Charles Darwin is writing and teaching that man is basically an animal. And so these people are looking at what's just happened around them in wartime, and they're saying, he's got a point. He's got a point. We are acting like animals. We are basically animals. So you're moving from this high time in Romanticism of imagination and feeling, and man is decent, and we're looking at adventure, and we're looking at heroes and all this kind of stuff. And then you get into a wartime where everything is bad news. Everything is bad news. Everything that you've thought is shot to pieces. Okay, this is gone. And then you have Darwin coming along and influencing the culture because they let him. They went along with it. that God is not the one who has created man, because how could it be that we have turned into these animals? We had to have been animals from the beginning, you know? And so you have this shift into Darwinism. Evolution becomes very influential in all kinds of nooks and crannies and mainstream and all of that. And then you have people questioning the very existence of God. Okay, you have a lot. This is a big shift. This is a big shift in thinking and in literature. So in Romanticism, you had lots of adventure. You had Moby Dick. The guys, captain's chasing this white whale. Okay, you have high adventure. You have heroes. You have opening up new territories and exploring, and all of the Last Mohicans. You have a lot of that kind of lots of imagination, lots of intricate story plot, and then you get to realism, and the plot of the story is not nearly as important anymore as the realness of the characters. The realness of the characters, the realness of the description. Anybody read much by Mark Twain? A little bit? Okay. So, Huckleberry Finn. They're escaping. And you got Huckleberry Finn, and then you've got same.
Wait, the other guy?
The other guy. I can't remember.
Wait, no.
Okay. So you got the boy and the slave, right? Can't even think of the. Anyway, I'm giving you the wrong names. But they get on. They're escaping, but they don't go north. They get on the river and they go south, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If the slave was actually going to escape, he would have gone north. But it didn't matter. The plot didn't matter all that much. What mattered was the realness of the way people were speaking and the description of the scenery. That was the important thing, because Mark Twain was very familiar with Missouri in the South. Okay, so he was able to give very accurate descriptions of the place around him. Okay, he was able to tell, the scenery and the way people would speak, vernacular. He would spell out the way that people were actually speaking. Okay, that was the. Sorry,
Jim?
Yes, Jim. Okay. So I need to open up my notes and look at this because I'm getting carried away. Okay. Let's see. Anybody know the name Stephen Crane? Red Badge of Courage? No? Yes? So, a little bit? Okay. I'm going to read a poem by Stephen Crane. Okay. Just listen. I'm going to ask you about because I've been asking you all along, what do you think this person believes about God? What do you think his view of the world is? Listen to the way he thinks about God. Okay. God fashioned the ship of the world carefully. With the infinite skill of an all-master, made he the hull and the sails, held he the rudder, ready for adjustment. Erect stood he, scanning his work proudly. Then, at fateful time, a wrong called, and God turned, heeding. Lo, the ship, at this opportunity, slipped slyly, making cunning, noiseless travel down the waves, so that forever rudderless it went upon the seas, going ridiculous voyages, making quaint progress, turning as with serious purpose before stupid winds. And there were many in the sky who laughed at this thing. Okay. What's happening in this poem?
The decline of human civilization.
Okay. The decline of human civilization. So, who made the world? God made the world. And so he's taking care of this world. He's making it just so. But then it says a wrong called. So something happened And God's attention turns away from this ship that he is creating. Okay? This is the ship of the world. He has the rudder in his hand, but something distracts him. He looks away at whatever sin has happened, whatever wrong has called. It turns God's attention away. And so what does he forget to do? He doesn't put the rudder on. He doesn't put the rudder on this ship, which is the world. And so now what is the world doing? Taking ridiculous voyages before stupid winds. And there were many in the sky who laughed at this thing. What does he believe about God's care of the world? Say again? God stepped away. What did you say, Sarah? Were you saying something? Okay. God stepped away. And then what's happening in the sky? They're laughing. They're laughing. They don't care. They don't care. This is a big joke, right? God has let the world just slip right out of his hands. So is God really careful with his creation? Not according to Stephen Crane. He's looking at all of this and going, this creator has done a really terrible job. He's really messed us up. He really messed us up. He got us going, and then he just didn't care anymore. He took his eyes off of us and let us go. We're spinning out into the world, and the world is spinning out, and we're on this crazy adventure, and it doesn't even make any sense, and it's stupid, and everybody's laughing at us. What a depressing thought. What a depressing way to view God and the way that he made the world. This is realism, okay? These folks, during this time period, there was a lot of stuff that was just, some of it really was depressing. Some of the writing really was depressing because you've gone from writing about high and lofty ideals and imagination and feeling being the thing that really moves you. And now they're looking at the common man who's living in the streets or living hand to mouth, and they're not interested in making the story really good. It's only real, hence the name. You gotta make it real. Whatever you're describing needs to be very, very accurate, and it doesn't matter if they're not aiming for just good plot or good literature. It just needs to be accurate. Okay. So this same guy wrote The Red Badge of Courage, which is it's not a poem, it's a story. And basically the guy it's in the war between the states, and he runs away. He runs away from the battle. And so the whole story is him working through this decision that he has just made, this decision to run away. And then almost by instinct, he goes back and he actually fights in another skirmish. And he's wounded, which is the Red Badge of Courage. That's the Red Badge of Courage, is the wound he gets. But it's almost like he doesn't really have a choice in all of this. It's kind of like it's acted upon him, and he's just he's just dealing with what he's been dealt. But it's not so much an issue of right and wrong. It's not so much an issue of right and wrong. It's just kind of handling what's landed on you. He doesn't really have a choice. It's just kind of instinct. And if you go back to Darwinism here, it's Darwinism that's playing out in literature. It's just the idea of we don't have any control. We're ships without rudders. We're something that has come out of nothing, very animal-like. We don't really have a whole lot of control. Here we are. That's the ideas of the time. Okay, let me give you one more. because we have realism and then naturalism is a layer on top of that. And so naturalism is taking realism and then across the top, you're going to add the layer of basically the world is against you. Basically, nature and everything around you is against you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So you guys haven't read Stephen Crane. What about Jack London? I had you read. It's been 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, but some of you read To Build a Fire. To Build a Fire. Anybody remember that? You slightly remember it? Okay. So it was sad. It was a sad story. So the guy has been told, this guy is in the Yukon, maybe. I can't remember where he is. That's the one. That's the one. Did I read it to you?
I think you read something.
Maybe so. I don't remember now. But okay, so this guy is he's in the Yukon, or it's in a very cold place. So it's 75 degrees below zero where this guy is. And he has been told by older travelers, when you go out, when it's 75 below, you can't do that. If it drops below 50 below, do not travel alone. That's what they've told this guy. And he's like, I'm a man. I'm a man. And if you're a man, you should, and he says that, a man should be able to do this. So, you're shaking your head. It's just foolish. And that's what, say again? Your dad wouldn't go out 75 below.
Well, like he says, if a man can do it.
Okay. Well, he may be right about some of that, but not in 75 below. So he goes out, and he's doing okay for a little while. He goes out and he's got his dog with him. He steps in water. He steps in, it's something that he can't see. He's just, he goes through the water with his foot. And it says this.
Yeah, how is the water -75?
I don't know, but he breaks through. How is there water? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Look, I didn't write this story.
Don't worry about it.
I didn't write this story. I'm just telling you how it went. I don't know how there's still liquid water, but he breaks through the ice. He breaks through the ice.
Several inches thick. It's very heavy.
Maybe so. Maybe so. It's a lot of man to break through that. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Breaks through the ice. He's got a wet foot. And he says in this story that if your foot is dry, even if it's 75 below, you can run. You can run and you can get the feeling back in your feet, but not if you're wet. If you're wet, it doesn't matter. You're going to freeze. You're going to freeze. So immediately he gets his foot out of the water. He starts building a fire. Right? He starts gathering stuff and building a fire. He's got the fire going. He's going to make it. He's going to make it, right? What he doesn't realize is that overhead, there's a clump of snow on the branches above him. So he gets this fire going, and he's trying to warm his foot up. He's trying to warm his shoes and all that. And the snow comes down and kills his fire. Okay. Kills his fire, and so then there's no choice. He's got to try to move. He's got to try to move. He's got his dog with him. And so at some point he realizes, I got to try to warm up. So he wants to call the dog over, kind of kill the dog and warm up inside the dog. And he's trying to call the dog over, and the dog is like, no way, Slick. I know this trick. No. And so the dog won't come to him. The dog won't come to him, and so he dies. The man dies. And the dog goes off to the town.
No, eventually the dog does come to him, but his hands are so frozen that he can't kill it.
You might be remembering the story better than me.
It was crazy.
Okay, so I'm probably forgetting some of the details, but I do know that the man dies, and the dog goes off to the next town because the dog can live through this. All right, so this is where naturalism comes. Nature's going to kill you, basically, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be cold. It can be a lot of other things, but you have this realism where you're just telling the story. Well, I mean, what is the plot of this story anyway? What is the plot of this Jack London story? If you're looking for a story arc, what's the plot?
Man defy nature. Like man versus nature.
Yeah.
I still would have made it. Because there wasn't water. I'm sorry, but I don't understand how the water was there.
Okay, so you're saying there could not possibly have been any water in
There's
75
no
below.
water.
Okay.
It's all ice.
All right, I'm willing to grant you that, but we're going with what he wrote, okay? We're going with, yes, we're going with the story here. A man is told not to do something. He does it anyway.
Proves he's not a real man.
Exactly.
He's not a real man. He dies. There's not a lot of story. I mean, there's not a lot of arc in the story. That's not the point anyway. The point is we're telling a very, maybe not according to Leela, but we're telling a realistic story. We're trying to get all the details right. And we're going to add a layer of naturalism where nature's going to kill you no matter what you do. Right? Okay, let me hand you.
That was sad.
Oh, no, she's just gonna send us out to the world.
Yes, I'm going to send you out to the world
Into nature.
and adventure. And into nature. I'm going to send you into nature, Coleman. But we are not Darwinists here. We believe that God is in charge and nature is not going to kill you. Okay. Just don't stay out in the tornado. Okay. Read the assignment sheets. Some of y'all are missing some of the stuff on the assignment sheets. Okay? Read the assignment sheets. Daniel, I found some riddles. Okay. We don't have very long. So in this particular book, there might be several answers that could work,
Oh gosh.
but we're going to do some of these this year, and I'm only looking for one answer. And so there may be some that would work besides the one that's given, but there will be times. The first one or two probably you'll get pretty quickly. Okay, this is called Smashed Taillights, and this is Lateral Logician. That's what this book is called. All right. Bob picked up a tire wrench and smashed. Was that a sneeze? Did that sound like a sneeze to y'all? Okay, bless you.
Are rows, and so we can't finish.
Oh, okay. Bless you. Bless you. Bob picked up a tire wrench and smashed the taillights of a car that he had never seen before. Police officers witnessed this act and arrested not him, but the owner of the car. Explain.
He had dementia and it was his car.
Because he was driving without a tail light.
He was not driving without a tail light. It had nothing to do with dementia. No dementia is involved. Say it again. No, not talking to me.
The owner's car was tire.
It was the owner. Yes, it was the owner's car.
Tire.
It was the owner. It was the tire wrench of the owner of the car. Yes, it was.
Is that the solution?
There's more to it than that. The car was not stolen.
We read the whole
I'll
thing
read it again. Bob picked up a tire wrench, and yes, it did not belong to Bob, but it did belong to the owner of the car. Bob picked up a tire wrench and smashed the taillights of a car that he had never seen before. Police officers witnessed his act and arrested not him, but the owner of the car.
The police officers saw Bob smash the taillight, so they witnessed his act.
Yes,
And they arrested the owner.
they arrested the owner of the car.
Judas? You know how he betrays Jesus with the kiss?
Yes.
It's like that, except the kiss was smashing the
Are
tail.
you sure it wasn't like Grand Theft Auto? It was like trying to stop the car from driving. Smashing the taillight.
It could have been. He could have been trying to
He was
stop the
trying to
car.
stop the car from going.
Yes, he was
The
trying
guy
to stop
like
the car.
murderer.
Hey, I don't know if the guy was a murderer or not, but he was
He-
trying to stop the car.
Yeah.
Sort of, yes. He
But he'd never seen the car before.
had never seen the car before.
But he'd seen the dude.
He's never seen the car before. Picked the tire, smashed the taillight. Please stop.
Wait, but it
Owner was a twin.
the tire belonged
The
No, he's
owner
never
was not
seen
a
it.
twin. Irrelevant. Whether or not it's irrelevant whether or not the owner was a twin. Irrelevant.
Where did he get the tire tire wrench
From
that
the
belongs
owner.
to the owner.
Where did he get the tire wrench that belongs to the owner of the car?
Inside the car. Oh, was he like kidnapped?
He was kidnapped.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
kidnapped
not that he was
Why would he
kidnapped, that's
smash
fine.
the taillights?
because
if you smash the taillights, you can wave your hand through.
Yeah.
You bust
he
out the
smashes.
taillights, that's
He's
how you-
inside.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about
He's
that.
inside the
It's
trunk.
inside the trunk, the taillights are there.
He's inside the trunk. He takes the tire iron and smashes the headlight, smashes the tail light, so that he can wave, and the police officer sees this. Okay,
That's a
It's-
good one.
that's a good one. Okay,
I have a good one.
do you?
It's 75 degrees.
Okay, it's a good one. It's 75 degrees below zero. How is there still running water? Good one.
He's inside. Wait,
He's inside.
no, it's war. Oh wait, no.
Okay, I can't help you. What time is it? Because I might need to just let you go. I don't have time for another one.
No. We'll be really
What
quick.
if we really turn on the critical
Yeah,
thinking?
Okay. Okay, this one is based on something that actually happened. This is based on something that actually happened. A woman walked into a police station. I want to report a pickpocket, she announced. A man staggered in behind her, his hand in her coat pocket. Arrest that man, she continued, pointing to him. He was arrested, tried, and convicted of picking pockets. Why did he enter the police station in a posture that obviously suggested his crime?
His hand was glued. There's glue in there.
His hand was stuck. That was really fast. You got that really fast.
How did she do that? Super glue or something?
It
It's
wasn't
like,
super
but how
glue.
did the super glue not dry? Just like how did the water not freeze?
I can tell you if you're ready.
Sure.
It was like a hoodie pocket, and she got on the other hand.
It wasn't a hoodie. It wasn't a hoodie pocket. But I can't even remember where this happened. But there had been a streak of pickpocketing going on. So the woman expected that this was actually going to happen. And so she sewed into her pocket, she sewed fish hooks.
Oh no.
She sewed fish hooks into her pocket. So when he reached into her pocket to rob her, he was stuck. And so she caught a man. She caught him.
My theory's better.
Which one was your theory? The hoodie?
She was a hoodie pocket. She grabbed it.
No, I mean, if
I feel like I would
I'm
forget
a woman
stick my
and-
hand in my pocket.
I'm a woman and you're a man,
Forget.
if you tried to reach into my hoodie pocket and I grabbed your hand, there's no way that I could hold on to you because you're stronger than I am.
And they have
But what if
the
she worked out for a long time?
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you got that one a lot faster than I thought you were going to because he was stuck.
Another.
One more.
I don't-
Got that one really quick.
I don't have time. I don't have time.
It'll be a little critical thinking skills on the math side. You get this one in like 5 seconds.
Okay, one more, real quick.
Fish.
'Cause we got like 3 minutes.
Go to the next part.
Can you get to your next class on time?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll sprint.
A burglar broke into a house intending to steal from it. While he was still in the house, he called the police and then was arrested. Why did he call the police?
The bodies were goldfish.
Bodies were goldfish. No. There was one that we did last year that had to do with goldfish. No, it was not goldfish.
He accidentally murdered somebody.
He did
I
not
hate
murder.
when that happens, man.
The robber that broke in, he's intending to rob this house.
There's
when-
already a robber.
No, irrelevant. Irrelevant. Whether there was or not,
I'm
irrelevant.
calling the police.
Robber that breaks in calls the police, and he himself is arrested. But why does he call the police? Nope.
Whoa.
I
How is
mean,
that that?
nope. Not his house. The stuff in there is not his. He is actually breaking in.
There was a big spider in the middle of the living room, and he couldn't get across it.
Oh, was I right? He stepped on fish hooks. That's what.
He didn't step on any fish hooks. Okay,
He stepped on
this
a bear
is
trap.
lateral addition because there could possibly be several answers to that, but I'm just looking for one. Okay, so he breaks into this house falls down the stairs or something, and he's incapacitated, and he has to call for help. Okay, so he calls for help.
Wait, so he
He hurts
hurt
himself.
himself?
He hurts himself. He's a bad burglar. I mean, it's like the Home Alone guys, you know. He falls down into a pit or he gets hit in the face with a tire or something like that. Okay, that's it.
I like our idea better.
Hang on.
That would be so cool.
I don't know. Okay, guys.
Leave arms and go.
See ya.